Good morning. This is Bill from Europa, Naples, and today I've got a car that's very near and dear to my heart. This is a 2014 Volkswagen Jetta TDI sedan. It's a premium with navigation model. It's finished in white outside, it's got black inside, essentially a police car, but I don't think it's a bad idea to have black interiors in a car because frankly, and particularly in a pedestrian road warrior type sedan like this, you put light tan inside and this thing's just going to be all scuffed up and nasty in no time. You know, people who are inconsiderate with their feet and rubbing filth into the carpet and just really, really bad people when they get in your car, they can do a lot of damage. Anyway, I say this thing is near and dear to my heart, and that is true because during Hurricane Irma, you may remember we had a little event down here last year. I escaped from Florida. I always said that I would in the event of, a Category 4 or 5 heading our way. I'm just not going to take the chance. So on the lot was a 24, look at this, I've got the tag on the back still. Looks ridiculous. I hate these little bag tags, but they don't scratch the car like the magnets do, so what are you going to do? Anyway, on the lot was this 2014 Jetta TDI Sport Wagon. I think it was actually a Golf TDI Sport Wagon, but it was essentially the same size as the Jetta. And I hopped in that thing. I had 2 5-gallon jerry cans and, put the girlfriend and the dogs inside, headed up north, and we made it passing every gas line, driving all the way to Alabama without refilling the tank. I think I added 5 gallons, somewhere a little bit north of Florida. And we pulled into beautiful downtown metropolitan Eufaula, Alabama, where we later had to evacuate from, mind you, with using very little fuel in the car, and I think we averaged just about 50 miles per gallon. So very quickly, the diesel Volkswagens became a real favorite of mine. And one thing that I really like about them is now, because of that whole VW diesel scandal, and scandal it is, there's actually guys doing jail time over it. But because of that, you can be a little bit of an outlaw while driving a very nice economy sedan. Girls kind of ooh and ah, you got the leather jacket on, you got the switchblade, you are a VW diesel outlaw. And there's just something very, very cool about that. The guy behind all of that, truly, of course, people went to jail, but they weren't really the ones at fault. The guy behind it is Ferdinand Pike. He was the chairman of VW at the time, sort of a famous, incredible, for want of a better term, douche nozzle. Probably a fantastic manager, but he really ruled with a climate of fear and misery. I mean, people were in absolute terror for their jobs when they were putting these cars together. For instance, the body fit and finish. There was some big meeting of, car chairmen. They all got together to discuss how they could screw over the general public. And the chairman of one other big company, I can't remember who it was, it might have been Bob Lutz back at the time, said, man, how do you guys get these perfect body fits, these seams, everything's so flawless? It's like on a car that would cost twice as much. Ferdinand was very proud of that. And what he did was, he said it was real easy. I just got everyone together in the same room who is responsible for body fits and said that I will, fire you all unless you can make them perfect. And of course, what he meant by that is he'd put them all, on the rack or hang them from, nooses or stuff them in an oven or whatever it is he was going to do. They were going to pay dearly if the car didn't come together. And I'm sure this is exactly what happened with the diesel emissions. He laid down, how the emissions were going to go, that this car had to achieve this certain amount of stuff, getting this amount of gas mileage while form-fitting to all of the federal regulations. And when it couldn't be done, a guy who had a big mortgage and family to feed and a wife who liked nicer things, he just decided to cheat because that was the only way he could solve the problem. So these things are usually institutional. They start at the top and they come down from there. But despite the outlaw stuff, despite the big diesel scandal, what Ferdinand, who is the grandson of Ferry Porsche, by the way, what he did achieve was building remarkable cars and turning Volkswagen at that time into a giant world-class competitor. And this car was the result of that. So let's go over a few things. Number one, it's got a great little Decklid spoiler. I presume that comes from it being one of these premium models. Number two, it has an absolutely enormous trunk. I mean, you're going to be able to fit anything you need in this thing. Whatever crap you lug around with you, it's going to get in the back of this car. And if you run out of trunk room, you pull these guys, the rear seats go down, and now you have essentially something that, you know, a general contractor could use. So trunk space and cargo space in general, not a problem at all in this Jetta sedan. Have a look under the hood. You hear me the way my shoes are squeaking. For a new pair of shoes. I don't want people to hear me coming. All right, let's have a look under here. Oh Lord, that is one heavy hood that they make use a prop rod for, so I'm just going to lean against it. There is a 2-liter turbocharged diesel engine. Again, putting out incredible fuel economy, even when it's not cheating on the emission standards. It runs about 140 horsepower, which is kind of meaningless in a diesel. It's all about the torque rating in a diesel, and this thing is plenty torquey to move the car down the road. Very, very smooth, very civilized. You can barely hear it running when you're inside. Very different from the diesels of past, you know, that were shake the wheel out of your hand, black smoke coming from the pipes, you know, that rolling coal, if you will, even on an old Isuzu iMark or 240D. Those days are over. The diesel has become very, very refined and proper and civilized, and this 2-liter version in this car is no exception. When this thing's closed, when it's down, when it's running, you still get a little bit of that, you know, diesel noise, but just enough to let you know it's a diesel. Okay, so the stuff that Ferdinand, this is a noisy thing. God, you know what I hate about garbage trucks? It always seems like when I'm going down the road, I end up driving behind one. And I feel like I'm just soaking in all that nasty foulness, you know, through the air conditioning system into the car. I get real Howard Hughes about it, so I quickly pass those whenever I'm stuck behind one. Anyway, what Ferdinand Pike didn't just apply to the exterior and, of course, the body fits. It also applied to the interior. Those guys all feared for their jobs and lives, too. So all of the fit and finish is terrific. The material quality is good. And, you know, somebody laughed at me the other day, one of the comments about, you know, it's plastic, but it's nice plastic. Well, there's some truth to that. There are different quality levels of plastic. And you can have some really crappy stuff or some really nicer stuff, and VW does use the nicer stuff. Also have these great little titanium inserts. You've got a little padded thing there for the armrest. You got a neat little integrated place to put your cups and such. We have some kind of a center console here with cup holders. Yeah, it's all very utilitarian. Also a pass-through, I believe, into the rear. You can see that, yeah, goes down. So if you've got a sniper rifle with you or ski poles, you'll be able to get them in there. So yeah, I mean, again, all very utilitarian, but, you know, good quality materials, nice legroom, just absolutely all that it needs to be for what it wants to be and what it is. And that is a, you know, practical get-around highway warrior type car. Now, if you're an in-city guy, you really don't need a diesel. Go for a hybrid or something. That makes more sense in the city. But if you do any highway driving, that's really where the diesels come into play and where the gas mileage just becomes fantastic. Why no diesel hybrids? I don't know. I did a Google on that once, didn't quite figure it out. There is a couple. You know, Audi's just coming out with one or something. But for the most part, when you're needing fuel economy for the city, the hybrid's the way to go. When you're doing it on the highway, the diesel's the way to go. This thing would probably suit your local driving too. It gets pretty good mileage just tooling around town. Nice big shark fin antenna up there. Nice big power moonroof. Let's see, I think it has some kind of keyless go mechanism. Yeah, look at that. So a touch of the thumb on that little indentation locks it. Another touch locks it again. How do we open it? It only locks it, apparently. Nope, give it a couple of tugs and it opens up for you. So, okay, inside, again, this being a premium model, you can see it's a little bit upscale. You've got a power seat, nice stuff. You got power windows, power mirrors, of course, keyless entry and ignition. Great with a little leather steering wheel there with an adjustable column and everything looking real nice. So let's hop in. I got a mosquito in here with me. That's fantastic. Let him back out. All right, to fire it up, foot on the brake, tap to start stop, and nothing happens. So let's do that again. There we go. What the hell? Okay, off again, on again. You know, you get yourself out of sequence a little bit, and things just go haywire on you. So, all right, it's not one touch. You got to keep your finger on the button until it starts. Let's get the AC turned down. Okay, here you can see a very nicely laid out instrument cluster. You've got your, you know, being a diesel, it's not a high rever, so you got your 5,000 limit on the tachometer. You got 160 mile an hour speedo, which I feel is, again, pretty damn ambitious. I don't think this thing goes anywhere close to that. You got a great little driver information center in the middle, gives your instant fuel economy, your lifetime fuel economy, you know, so on and so forth. Whatever you need in there, you can have it read what you want. You got your headlamps here with your fogs. Just give one pull for that. You got a little dimmer control over here. You got multi-function stuff on the steering wheel. That's a voice command type thing. Let's see how that works. We'll go over to band. What do we got? Let's try 94.5.
Connected. Please connect.
No, okay, so that's only about Bluetooth and not about direct tuning. So, all right, anyway, there it is. You can go through it and figure out what it does. You also got volume, answer the phone, so on and so forth. You got a nicely laid out steering wheel here that hasn't been properly cleaned by our detailer, so we'll talk to him about that later. Got a lot of bass out of the radio. What do you got? You got a backup camera. Nice. VW's little infotainment system. I like it and I don't like it. It's got a couple of things I'm not a giant fan of and a couple of things I am. One is I like that it has a volume knob and a tuning knob. The touch screen, you know, I find it a bit awkward that to spin the presets you have to get over. I mean, it's just not a lot of space between the 7 and the little arrow there, but I guess you figure it out. This thing does have navigation, of course, the premium with nav. Let's see the map. Yeah, looks all very nice. You've got, what do we got in the media? No medium is available, so we won't be communicating with the dead. But anyway, you got a little insert slot here. It has Bluetooth, phone, and audio. Down here you have a very simple, easy-to-use climate control system. You've got your heated seats, rear defrost, you know, spin for cold, spin for hot. This directs the vents. All very nice stuff. Up here you've got a very standard rear view. This isn't a super luxury car, so we don't have tons of stuff in the rear view. We do have a sunroof that we can open up. VW's famous little spinner sunroof control. Very nice. Their version of OnStar there, those little buttons that will communicate with the mothership when you need it. You got a place to put your sunglasses, nice, and everything lovely up there. Down here you've got the shifter for Volkswagen's DSG transmission, and that's a pretty neat thing. That is a direct shift gearbox, I think that stands for, and it is essentially a manual that operates 100% like an automatic. At a certain stage the engineers got together and said, you know, why on these cars should we live with the manuals getting better fuel mileage than the automatics? Why is it that we can't have an automatic that gets great fuel mileage? Well, of course, quite a bit of here I am rambling, but quite a bit of the engine's torque was lost to the torque converter. You know, the forward momentum of the car is being spent on getting the automatic to start spinning. So this thing doesn't have a torque converter. It does automatic sort of dual shift clutch work for you without you having to. So it's essentially a manual gearbox with a robotic clutch with instant shifts. Beautiful to use. You'd never know it's not really an automatic. And the result of that is that the fuel mileage for the automatics and the manuals is just about the same, so it works out really, really well. Let me get my seatbelt on and go for a spin. I love these little cup holders here. They're just simple. They're easy. You know what I mean? There's nothing there to break. It's just going to hold your cups without any fuss. What do we got in the glove box? Got a set of books. Nice. Tire pressure reset in there. Good place for it. Got a little center console here for your USB stuff. You know, everything you need, nothing you don't. A very simple, economical kind of car. Let's go for a spin. Oh, here's another small complaint. It's got an audio system by Fender, which is not a company that I immediately associate with high fidelity. It's more of a company that I associate with very loud extortion guitars. It's like the mafia's playing them. Distortion guitars, it's just not what I think of when I think of, pin drop kind of stuff. So, I know it's a name. I know people like Fender, but I really think they're just capitalizing on that. And it's not really about the audio. I mean, when's the last time that anyone bragged on the super audiophile Fender speakers in his house? Okay, as you can see from that get-go, instant torque. The thing gets up and moves. And watch the shift. Did you see that needle bumping back? I mean, this thing shifts as fast as a Formula One car from a few years ago. Very, very quick shifting with no power loss at all. And that's part of why the fuel mileage ratings are so good for these, air quote automatics. Look at that, we're instantly returning 30 miles per gallon, even coming up to a stop. That became a real game for me, the little instant reading, and then I would reset the lifetime reading so I could see how high I could get it to, that 5.5. So yeah, when you're on the throttle, it's crappy. But anyway, it became a real game to see how high I could get that reading to show, and I did eventually hit 50 miles per gallon, which was lovely, and really made me feel like, some sort of a world conserver. Little did I know that I was a traffic outlaw, with the diesel thing and everybody going to jail. Look at this wiper on the Range Rover. You think he's meaning to do that intentionally, but he probably isn't. He probably just turned on the left turn signal and the wiper went off. Anyway, here it is, 2014 Volkswagen Jetta TDI diesel sedan, a true road warrior, fantastic car. Get tons of gas mileage with this thing, and you get to wear your leather jacket with the switchblade and all that too, and be part of that whole outlaw thing. If you're a diesel guy, you're gonna love it. Even if you're not a diesel guy, you can pretend it's not a diesel because you won't hear it at all. And otherwise, just a great little car. So if you have an interest, give us a call, 239-649-7300, on the web at mercedesexpert.com. Thanks so much for having a look. We really appreciate it. We'll see you with the next one. Take care.